was born north of Sioux Falls. Went to school at Washington High School. Went to college at Augustana, and my grades just weren't good.
So you were a South Dakotan all the way through.
I've never left it. I've never left it. My dad one day said, you know, you're just messing around in school. Why don't you just go to work?
Like so many kids coming out of high school.
Yeah, you know, and so I went in the Marine Corps. I showed him, and he'd been a Marine Raider. He said, you know, I'm sorry you're going in because I've been there. But I went in, and I went to a aircraft school in...
When did you join the service?
1965. Boot camp was tough. And they told me it was going to be tough, and they weren't kidding. Then I went to a basic aviation school, and so then I went to what they call a B school, which is learning how to crew the helicopter that I was on. I'm familiar with the helicopter.
All these different schools you went to, were they your choice or were they the Marines' choice? This is where you're going.
I signed up for guaranteed aviation, which means whatever part of aviation they want to put you in, they'll put you in. And that's how I ended up in these schools. And I did well. And so I kind of got a choice of assignments, and I chose California. I was sent to El Toro, which is a big Marine base, and I thought I was going to be in fixed wing or jets. And it was jets, all right. It was jet helicopters. And that was over at LTA. You know, and I passed the test to qualify for pilot training, but I never got orders for it. So I went to Vietnam, and when I got back, I got my orders to go to pilot training. And I thought, you know, I've been duck hunting for a whole year as a duck, and I don't want to go back. So I just got out of the Corps and come back here and joined the South Dakota Army National Guard.
Tell us a little bit about your experiences over in Vietnam. What was your responsibilities over there?
To make sure the helicopter was safe. In other words, if there was a mechanical thing, you fixed it. And then you flew on it. So the pilots were pretty confident that you fixed it, right? Yes, yes. And of course, you got some armor duty with the 50 caliber gun. We had 50 caliber machine guns.
And what was the helicopter that you were assigned to?
A CH-46 Sea Knight. It was a brand new helicopter at that time. 2 rotors. It looks a lot like the Army Chinook does today, only it's smaller.
And how long were you in Vietnam?
14 and a half months.
14 and a half months. And how many missions do you think you... A lot. Let's just say a lot.
Because some of them were, you know, taking ammunition out in the field or whatever. But a lot of it was getting wounded in.
Oh, so you went out to the battlefield itself, right. And...
Yeah, took ammo out, brought kids home that were hit or dead, you know. And if there was a Marine in trouble and the weather was bad, you flew anyway. You know, it's just a job. And you do it because you're worried about the other guys. There's 4 crewmen in that helicopter, and you're worried about all of them, you know. So it's one guy having the other guy's back.
And you were a crew chief, and you were a gunner on some missions.
And I gunned actually more missions because I was from South Dakota. They just assume you can shoot. And I did understand leading the target, but in a helicopter, you lag the target. You shoot behind it because of the forward motion of the helicopter. First of all, you got to identify the target. And you know, it's like hunting. You've got to have a picture, the entire picture. You can't just look at what you're shooting at. You have to know that you're not putting somebody else in danger. Or like the helicopter next to you.
Going into the battlefield, you were actually fired upon as well.
Oh, yeah. They were usually in cover, like shadows, and you can't see them. But once they shoot, you know, you get a muzzle flash, and so then you just unload on them. You know, nobody gave you permission to shoot. You just knew it was time, yeah. You know, if you tried to just keep them down so you could get in and get out, you know.
So 14 months over in Vietnam, then you came back.
Right.
And you were scheduled for pilot training, yes, to fly one of these things.
And I got my orders, and my commander was from South Dakota. And he said, this is your opportunity. And I said, whoa, not so fast.
So the experiences you learned over Vietnam the first time of being shot at, if you would have gone to pilot training, they probably would have sent you right back to where you came from.
It was guaranteed.
It was a guarantee back to Vietnam.
And I had horrendous respect for the pilots, just wonderful pilots. You know, they were just good at what they did.
They were able to land those helicopters in some very difficult areas.
Yeah, they would actually back into a mountain, and the blades would be cut in grass, and the kids would have to crawl underneath the rotors and crawl in sometimes. They were very good. Like I said, the pilots were good. Or if you'd, for example, there was a lot of triple canopy jungle. And if you drop a hook down there to bring a wounded guy out, that helicopter had to just stay absolutely still right there and hover. And it took a good pilot.
Can you run us through a daily mission? I mean, you got up in the morning, you had breakfast, and then you had a briefing, a mission briefing as to where you're going to be going.
Well, the pilots did. We would get the helicopter ready, get the guns ready, get it set, and then they'd come out and say, we're going to Donghal, or we're going to wherever, and here's what we're going to do. You know, 24 hours a day, we had rescue helicopters with crews sleeping in them to go. If somebody was bleeding, you just went.
Okay.
And then so they'd tell you on the way out. You test fired your guns, you went into the zone, and they would holler, pop a smoke, and that meant the people on the ground would throw out a smoke grenade so you knew where they were.
And plus you knew what the wind was doing.
Right, and so they know how to make their approach, and then you would ask, where are the bad guys? And they might say, they're at 360 degrees. Well, then you knew it was a bad deal, you know, and
That means they're surrounded.
they're surrounded, and that's why you've been called in. Or they might say they're to our north at this many degrees, and the pilots would pick that up, and then what they'd try to do is fly in broadside so you could cover that area with a gun.